Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in for another action-packed deep dive of an episode. As in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing the topic of forest bathing. Also in this week's show, we are going to have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel to bring the wisdom and communication forward from the world of spirit. Also, we have a sneak peek into this week's forecast reading, which hopefully will help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. So without further ado and standing on ceremony, we're going to dive deep with our topic this week of forest bathing. First of all, I'm sure there's many question marks over this title, so I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more. So forest bathing is all about immersing yourself into nature, particularly woodland, and being at one with it, not resisting it, being in the present moment with it. And with that being said, there's a great deal of healing and energy exchange that does occur when you're in that right mindset. So that's what we're discussing today. So let's go in with a little bit more precision. So, as I say, deep healing can occur when you answer the call and connect to the woodland. I'm sure I'm not the only one here that has felt that calling. You just feel it in your gut. You have an instinctual pull to nature, particularly woodland. And no matter what you have in your diary or your agenda, you cannot shake this feeling off. And you just know, I've got to go to the woods. I don't know which wood yet, but I'm sure I'm going to be inspired. And you feel that natural calling, that natural pull. And when you get that instinct, I would say it's because your soul, your physicality, needs that environment in order to replenish, to heal, to ground, and just to rejuvenate in that beautiful energy. And if you think about it this way as well, the actual location itself, the woodland itself, may be broadcasting that vibration to you because it needs your energy as well in the form of sustenance for it to thrive and blossom. There is people talk about that plants and trees talk and communicate with one another, and they're all connected to this network in the woodland area. And so there's this conversation. If you can imagine all those plants, all those trees, all of that connecting must make a tremendous amount of energy and intent. And who are we to say that these plants, these trees, don't connect and broadcast that energy out into the ether, and those that are paying attention to their intuition will answer the call, will receive that message. And who's to say that that is not happening? I know when I certainly feel the call, it is so strong, and I can't shake it off. No matter how many excuses I put in front of it, I just have to go. It's like an invitation, and you have to go. You have to answer it. So that's partly what I feel happens when you feel that magnetic draw and pull towards the woodland. What I do find fascinating about woodland areas is the fact, obviously, there's trees, there's plants, there's animals, there's insects, and it even goes further than that. We've got the microscopic community there as well. But all of these attributes and energies and creatures on some level have to harmonize with one another in order to create this beautiful, rich, energetic environment that we know and love as the forest. And it's almost as if there's an agreement with each one of those creatures, on a subconscious, energetic level. They all go about their business. They all have an understanding what this does and what that creature does and what this plant does and where it grows and where this food is likely to be, and the surrender of that food in order to be sustenance for, say, a predator or something. There's all of these unspoken agreements on an energetic level to make this, like I say, beautiful, rich, energetic tapestry in the forest. And I find that just blows my mind that all of that is happening behind the scenes on such a deep level. With that being said, as I say, it creates a rich tapestry of harmonic resonance and acceptance, because there's an ebb and flow in the forest. If you think about it, the leaves fall, trees sometimes fall when it's their time to go back into the forest floor and create habitat and even sustenance for the forest floor, for new saplings to blossom and grow, with them giving their ultimate sacrifice. So I just find all of that fascinating. And so it's no wonder that this environment contains so much magnetic and healing vibrations, because everything is living and existing in harmony. And on some level, I would certainly suggest that when you do hear and feel that calling to woodland, it's because there's a lack of harmony and resonance in your vibration, and your vibration needs it in order to thrive and flourish in every single day of your life. Now, as we know, and we talk about this quite a lot on here and the broadcasts that we do, there's a lot of distractions happening around us in every single moment. Obviously, the most common one is a mobile phone, handheld device. There's everything. There's your world connected to that, isn't there? You can connect with people all over the world. There's the social media aspect. There's your music. There's films. There's TV. There's your diary. There's your work schedule. Everything is on that, and all in the palm of your hand, all of those distractions. Not to mention what's happening in our local area, our society. I'm sure when there's roadworks in your local area, it causes frustration and aggravation to drivers. And obviously that creates a disharmony in your vibration. Even if you're not giving it your attention, that energy will still be there. And, you pick up some of these things, don't you, with the distractions. It reminds me of a computer and the system that has, where it records things on a hard drive or a solid state drive, whatever it is nowadays. And it collates all this information at different times, at different points, and it's kind of scattered, isn't it? All this information, distractions, shall we say, it's scattered all over the place. And I want to suggest on some level that forest bathing is almost like a computer defragging the system. And what that means is it's collecting all of these random pockets of information, and it's aware of all these spaces that divide all of that information. And so what it's doing, it's the spaces, it's making more efficient, and it's pulling that energy, the information all together in one area so that it is more energy efficient and it can save more on the system. And in many respects, I feel that's what happens to us with our lives. We get so busy and involved with all of these distractions on some level, shape or form. And it causes an energetic memory, either in our subconscious or physical or energetic body. And it's just taking up space, and it's draining us on some level of our vibration. It's also making us less in our present moment consciousness. It's robbing us of our essence and taking away our prime energy source. This is just my personal observations. You may have a different opinion on this, and that is okay with me. But I feel as though, life can get very busy, and every now and again we feel overwhelmed, pushed to the edge. Whether we realize it or not, some of our family or friends around us may notice changes when we're on edge. Prime example is the fact that we get a little bit snappy, a little bit short-tempered, a little bit aggravated that things aren't done in a certain way and people aren't collaborating and pulling their weight and helping out. And we can get a little bit agitated with all of that. That is one indication to let you know that, you're ready. You're ready for some healing. You're ready for some forest bathing. But generally speaking, as I've said previously, I feel the call. And let's go a little bit deeper when I say feel the call. What are you talking about, Glenn? So feeling the call for me is it's in my gut. It's like a butterfly sensation. It's like a yearning. It's like an ache sensation. And those of you that have experienced being in love and being in a romantic relationship will know and recognize these feelings that I'm describing. Butterfly sensation, that yearning feeling. To me, it feels like that. That is when I'm getting the call to nature and woodland. And so when I get that, I question it in my mind, what's happening here? Why am I feeling this? And then I might get some signs from my guides or my higher self. And I'm drawn to maybe TV shows where there's lots of nature, lots of woodland, lots of trees. I may hear people talking about it. And all of these synchronicities will match up and line up until I reach that eureka moment and I think, oh, okay, this is a call. It's a call to go out in nature, forest bathing. I mean, there's various other locations you could go, the coast, out in the fields. But for me, my personal go-to place is the woodland. Like I say, it has so much harmonic resonance that it is so undeniable when you hear that call. So I want to say, going into a forest or wooded area, I find that it's a great place where you can detox. You can detox all of that trauma, that overthinking, that if you are an empath and you pick up on people's emotions and feelings, you can release some of those toxins and that heavy vibration that you've been carrying around with you. Because like we were saying earlier, you could start to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, aggravated by holding on a subconscious level. You might not be aware of it, of all of this information. And so going into the woodland will allow you to remove these old energies that no longer serve you, that are weighing you down and that are stopping you from shining at your brightest. So when I go, sometimes it's a combination. It depends on the weather. And I'm not using the weather as an excuse because I went to one wooded area, I think it was the beginning of this year, and it started to rain and my hopes were dashed. And I thought, I wanted to go deep in the forest area. Well, luckily for me, the car park was actually engulfed into the forest area. So I had a conversation with my guides and I said, look, I'm really feeling the call. I really need to go into that woodland to, do a bit of bathing here. And my guide said, don't worry, lad. And they called me lad. Don't worry, lad. You'll be all right. what we'd like you to do, because as you know, I have a van, is just go into the back, lie down, and focus in on your breath work and slow your attention down. Close your eyes whilst you're doing this, and you can still connect with the vibrations of the woodland and the energies and get that harmonic resonance that you're yearning and that you're desiring to achieve today. So I did, and it was a beautiful experience. I didn't even have to leave the van because, like I say, the weather wasn't up to much. It was slinging it down with rain, and I didn't fancy getting wet through and catching a cold and all of that pantomime that goes along with that. So my guide suggested that. So those of you that are thinking, oh, I'll go next weekend when the weather's a little bit better, I want to suggest don't go when you feel the call. You don't have to have a van. You can have a car or something like that. I would say there's a slight small print with this. As long as the parking area is either at the side of the woodland or, like I've described, you have a car park just with the woodland around it and you can see the trees right at the edge, you'll have that benefit. And so, yeah, don't have any excuses when it comes to answering the call. I also want to say that going into the forest, it's going to be very grounding for you. And this is particularly very beneficial for those of you that maybe work with energy. You may be a medium like myself, an energy healer, or simply very sensitive soul and empathic. You may even be creative, whether that's writing, dancing, singing, performing, or even artwork or something like that. I want to say that it can be very grounding for those individuals that have those traits that I've described. And what do I mean by grounding? Well, I'm talking about where it pulls, the energies in that environment, pulls you into your center and makes you aware of your now moment consciousness with no distractions whatsoever other than you're being here now. And that is all that matters. Because let's face it, the majority of us, we're continually thinking in our minds, and we may be reminiscing about the past and playing out those scenes and those situations in our life that we particularly enjoyed, the people in our life as well. Or we're projecting our thoughts into the future, and we're with our wants, our desires, our yearnings there, and we're projecting ideas how we'd like things to unfold and how to, work out in our life. And we can be so busy with that. Plus, not to mention, if we're bogged down with a situation in our life and we've got it running around our head in a loop fashion, and we can't seem to snap out of it and we can't shake it out the mind, it can be very, very frustrating, as we know. So when we're experiencing all of those things that I've described, we're not being present. We're not being here now, are we? We're living in our head. We're having this interaction in our thoughts. And as you know, when we put our time, our energy and attention on one sense, then it is amplified and the rest are dimmed. So, and what I mean by this, when we're continually thinking about things, there's people in our environment and our surroundings could be having a conversation with us. And although we're there in the physical, we can't hear a single word that they're saying. And they'll ask you a question and it might snap you out of, your inward world. And you say, oh, what did you say? And they'd say, oh, I've been talking to you for the last 20 minutes. Have you been listening to a word I've said? And you haven't, because you've been internalizing life. You've been in your mind too much and you haven't been present. So all of these things I'm saying to you are an indication that you're not present. And the reason I say this is obviously to encourage you to do some forest bathing, because that will get you grounded in the here and now. And it's a beautiful feeling when you get into that vibration, as I'm sure most of you will agree. Also, in the wooded area, the woodland, it's a great place for holding space and aligning, just being here now and aligning with maybe some visions, some ideas that you've had and you haven't had time to get the justification, the clarity, the inspiration, and maybe the point that you haven't put these visions into action is because there's a missing ingredient within your ideas and your visioning. By holding space in a woodland, you can get that clarity, particularly if you ask. If you ask and just be here now, you'll get some fabulous eureka moments, definitely, without question. So what I would suggest, if you are going to the woodland for that purpose, that you have some form of either device that you can record these visions and ideas down on, either a dictaphone or maybe use your phone there as well, or take a pen and paper and just take some bullet points of your experience, because you'll get some really strong answers, some good help and healing when you bathe in that energy. I want to say as well that doing the breath work when you're in the woodland is spectacular. Obviously, if you can imagine, and I'm sure many of you can, the smells, the intoxicating, beautiful smells when you're in the forest, all those different plants, the dampness of the forest floor, also healing as well that is occurring from trees, the smell, the bark. How can you smell healing? That's just occurred to me. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can. There's a strong argument, actually. You've heard of aromatherapy. Well, that can intoxicate you and bring you into a form of healing. It can bring you into a state of balance, can't it? So just imagine all of those smells in that environment. So I'll get to the point. What I'm talking about is doing breath work in the forest. And obviously you'll either sit or stand or whatever your preference is. And you're going to take big, deep breaths in through your nostrils. And you're really going to fill your lungs up with as much air as you can. And then you're going to hold that air inside of your lungs and you're going to hold it. Imagine you're going to dive into a swimming pool and you're going to hold that air in your lungs for as long as possible until you begin to shake and it begins to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And then you're going to breathe that air through the mouth, taking that long breath out and exhaling. And what I'd like you to do is to follow this cycle of breathing and notice how refreshing it is to your energetic and physical body. First of all, it's going to slow that mind of yours, that mind chatter, some of those thoughts that you've been having that have been stopping you from being present. It's going to slow all of those thoughts down. So just observe all of the sensations that you feel and experience simply by doing the breath work in woodland. And then you'll start to feel this space evolving in your mind, this level of calmness. And as you take that breath out, you can feel all of that tense energy in your physical body, in your muscles. They're starting to relax. And it's a beautiful feeling when you just allow your shoulders to drop and allow your body just to slump there and be okay with that. I want to say most of us, whether we know we're doing it or not, when we're out in public, we're on, I want to say, fight or flight mode. And we have this sort of adrenaline rush that goes through us. Yes, I've got to go into town. I've got this job to do. And we're on a mission. And we get all this tense energy that's building up and this energy that's propelling us forward. And when we come back from that particular, I want to say, job or whatever, or environment, we feel we're still carrying that tension that we created in order to fulfill us, if that's the right word, facilitate us to do that role. And so the breath work, my point being, is the breath work will allow all of that tension, that stress, whether you realize it's there or not, to be removed from you, simply being in that space. And it is so beautiful. It will help you circulate your blood, your oxygen around the physical body. And it's a state of bliss. Just maybe start by doing 5 minutes of conscious breathing, like I've described, and then go a little bit further if you can, maybe 10 minutes, and then increase it. And you'll feel so relaxed, so chilled out, particularly in this environment. Also, I want to say that in doing this practice that I'm describing, forest bathing, there are various things that you can do. So imagine you're in the forest, you're walking through the forest, and all of a sudden you see this beautiful, mighty oak tree, and it's standing proud. You can't ignore it, and you just feel this magnetic calling to go over to it. So you go over to it, you're standing in front of it, and you're thinking, oh, this is a beautiful tree. Why have I been called to this tree? This is where I would encourage you to do a little bit of tree hugging. And I know for some this may feel a little bit wacky and out there and embarrassing, but I assure you it will be worth that small, minute level of embarrassment by doing it. So I want you to go connect with that tree. I want you to wrap your arms around it. Ask permission before doing it. You can do this out loud or in your mind and say, thank you for bringing me forward towards you. May I have your permission to hug you and connect with you? And then you'll feel a magnetic pull, that joy feeling, that desire feeling in your solar plexus, in your stomach area. That will be telling you that this is a yes. If you're not feeling that, then it's a definitive no. But 9 times out of 10, the trees in question will always facilitate this energy exchange. And that's what it is, really, because when you're hugging that tree, what you will notice is you'll start to feel that energy draining from you, that old vibration that you've been carrying around, maybe some old belief systems, ideas, stress, energy from other people that you've been carrying around. You'll feel that draining out of you, and you'll start to feel lightheaded. Your physical body will start to feel lighter. Your muscles will relax as well, and you'll just feel so at peace and at bliss. And if you can, I would say, continue with that breath work as you're doing this, it will just amplify the experience. But yeah, you stand there hugging this tree, and you're just observing what you're feeling, what you're sensing. And what is happening is the tree is taking out all of these impurities and old energies that no longer serve you anymore. And it's actually taking it away from you so it can transmute that energy and use it in a form of nourishment so that it can help that tree to thrive and grow and shine and blossom. And it's a beautiful exchange. So the tree is, and the forest, in fact, is grateful for you doing this. You're grateful of this experience because you feel cleansed and you feel rejuvenated by allowing this to occur. If you're not into doing that, and, I understand it can cause a little bit of embarrassment and it is a little bit out there, then you can do other things. But I would advise that you take either a picnic blanket or a mat or something that you can either sit on or lie down if you're comfortable in doing that. Obviously, if you're around the forest floor, you've got to be aware of the insect community that's there. Ticks and things like that, fleas, they can be there. So just bear that in mind before you just lie down on the forest floor. Have that consideration there. because that's one of the worst things is coming home where you've been bitten or something like that. So just be conscious of that before you choose your spot. But when you've found your spot there, again, you can either sit or lie down. And this is where I want to say, set some intentions. So you can say this out to the forest, talk to it as if it's an individual, and say, thank you for inviting me here today. I would like to connect in with your beautiful energies and blend with this harmonic resonance that you are creating. Can I ask for healing? Can I ask for removal of all old energies that no longer serve me? And can I ask to be left rejuvenated, energized, feeling whole and complete after this encounter? You don't have to use those exact words, but they're just a few suggestions to get you started on this. The next thing, I would always incorporate the breath work, slowing the breathing down, closing your eyes, and just being here now. And what your focus should be on at this stage is not on the thoughts that are cascading around your mind, because they're going to go, if you remember. When you do the breath work, it's going to slow the mind down. So I want you to focus on your feelings in your body, noticing these subtle energy shifts in and around yourself. And then begin to notice the changes in your physicality, your physical body. That sense of healing, that tension being released from the muscles there, your body beginning to slump and being okay with it. So a few suggestions there. But, if anything, I would be in that sort of environment doing this exercise for around 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And if I don't have any time restraints, then I will just go with it. And if that lasts for over an hour or an hour and a half, I'll be okay with it. And I'll just blend with that beautiful energy that the forest is inviting me to be part of. And again, I know this sounds absolutely bonkers to most, but until you've tried it, don't knock it. Honestly, it will change your life. It will certainly do that. Also, the benefit of doing forest bathing is, like I say, it removes all these old toxins, these old energies, these old stifling, adrenaline-charged energies that most people carry around without realizing. And also, it will be an amplification of your senses. Your sight, the sounds that you hear, taste, touch, smell. You can gain all of that when you're at one with nature in the forest. And when you hear birds tweeting, and you hear the rustling of the leaves, of the wind blowing through the trees, you've got that beautiful smell there that's being created. You can obviously tangibly touch bark and feel the rough textures there as well. So it is very much a multi-sensory experience. But you'll also go away from this where your natural sensitivity will be amplified. So I'm talking about, when you feel like somebody's looking at you, and you'll be more aware of that. You'll be aware of the synchronicities of life, the universe working with you, dropping you signs, bringing forward animal totems. You'll be aware of energy, spiritual energy connecting with you, and maybe helping you in some way, shape or form by implanting ideas or some form of communication, help or guidance into your psyche there. You'll be more aware of that. You may start to witness and visually see spirit energy, orbs, energy swirls. You may be aware of vortexes or portals, that pulling, that energy. And this all stems from doing the forest bathing work that I've described to you today. There's lots of benefits. Reduce blood pressure. You may be an agitated person, and after doing this on a regular basis, you're more laid back, you're more chilled out. Nothing rattles you anymore. You don't rise to the bait when people are trying to trigger you or intimidate you. You're just so chilled and at peace with everything. And that is one of the other benefits of forest bathing. You can also do sitting in the power in the woodland. You can do meditations in there. If you feel more comfortable doing that, take your headphones, noise cancelling ones, if you will, and because you'll still get the benefits of feeling the energy in that environment. And what a beautiful thing it is too. So I hope what we've been talking about today has maybe promoted forest bathing to you in a way that you've never actually recognized before, or even given it your time and attention. And I hope it's lit the litmus paper, if that's the right phrase, for you to be very, very curious, more so about woodland and forest areas, to the point where you think, I'm going to give this a go now. I'm going to try this and see what it's really about. And I hope it has, because that was the intention of this discussion today. Because, it will change you if you keep going on a regular basis, and you'll just have a greater appreciation of life and know that you're just part of it. We're all linked, and you'll experience that. Well, I'd like to share with you over the last few weeks, I went to a paranormal event, and I went to Wales, Monmouth, if I'm more precise. And we went to an old theatre there, and we did a paranormal investigation. And it was quite something else. It was, as you can imagine, the location itself was very oldie-worldy. Instantly, when you got there, you could feel the energy shifts and changes. And then throughout the course of the investigation, we managed to get some responses from Spirit that was there. Spirit was playing with some of the paranormal equipment and making their presence known and felt. There was lots of children activity there, running around, and this playful like behavior in the stalls where the seats are, if that makes sense. And we saw, I would call it, silhouettes of these younger individuals moving in between, just making themselves known to us. We also were lucky enough to see a manifestation of a spirit being manifesting right before our eyes in one of the seats in the auditorium. We couldn't make out any facial features, but we did see the emanations of the surrounding of the body, the filling out of the body, and it was going in and out of phase, and that was quite something else. We also did some brilliant audibles as well. We captured Spirit communicating directly with us, and that was quite something else. Very spooky, shall I say. And then I felt a calling to do some trance channeling whilst I was there, and it's not something that I normally do on these events. So I had the inquiry with my guides, and they said, yes, it is safe, you'll be all right. And I just went into trance, so I didn't know who came through. And luckily enough, one of the team members managed to record that. And it was a Welsh gentleman that used to frequent that establishment, and he comes in visitation because he likes the beautiful energy there, the sense of peace and fun. So it was interesting to hear that back and see that. So that's what I've been doing, this past weekend or so. So anyway, I thought I'd share that with you because it was particularly interesting. But now we're going to move into the channel section of the show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's channeling from Spirit.
We would like to come forward and establish very strong communication with you. You are now hearing the voice of Mr. John Edward Thompson. I come forward to you today to discuss where you are wanting to go as a race, as a collective. A lot of you would like peace, serenity. You're looking for divine change and guidance in your life. You're wanting to live the very best version of yourselves, where others are merely milling around, following the general consensus of what is expected of them, and that is all. Both sides of the coin are down to free will and your intention. The reason why we bring this to your forefront of your mind is to let you realize that you have a choice in every single moment. And as I'm sure most of you are willing and able to listen to this, will understand that there's no greater time than now to make a decision, to hatch a plan, what you're wanting to achieve. And it's only then, when you have that in your consciousness and your divine anchoring, that you will start to notice your life changing. Your life has purpose again. Your life has intention, because you hold the keys to the door. You decide what you would like to incarnate down here as and what you're wanting to experience. A lot of these things are predetermined, pre-planned, but there is a vast element of choice, personal choice. And a lot of you have forgotten that you have this internal calling, this voice, and this decision and responsibility to make regarding your life. Now, we also want to talk to you about the energy vibrations changing in your environment, and it doesn't matter where you are on the planet. A lot of you will be noticing this, power surges, energy surges, to the point where it is draining batteries or anything electrical. It is having an impact on it. You'll notice that also your mobile devices will freeze and will stop functioning at the high speeds that they usually function at. You'll also notice miscommunications with your friends, relatives, and collaborators, cross wires, so to speak, where the communication, the conversations will seem a little cryptic rather than straightforward. And again, this is down to the energy changing and aligning with that of vibration. You'll also notice at this moment in time that you will feel like you are in a play, and a lot of people around you are merely chorus actors, people in the background, filling in the scene, adding to the experience and energetic vibration. And some of you may feel very alone in these environments as you notice this. And we say, in many respects, people are vibrating at different vibrations. So at times when you do feel alone and unnoticed, it is because you are vibrating higher, a vibration higher than most would choose to vibrate at. And obviously, when you vibrate at a higher vibration, rate of vibration, it's not obvious to all, but obvious to some, you become invisible. You as a person becomes invisible. And this is because they have trouble interacting with you and even seeing and experiencing your vibration, because you are no longer on the same frequency. And this is not to say that you are better or less than anyone else. It's just the way it has been through a series of choices that you have made. A lot of people are playing catch-up to get at this vibration. So you will be noticed by those who align with you. In the meantime, do not feel alone. Do not feel ignored. You are very much a way shower, making footprints in the sand, making tracks for others to follow that light when they arrive at that destination of their vibrational heightening. We also wish to convert, or shall we say converse to you, that there's a great deal of love in the environments that you happen to be going in. Many of you that are connecting to a higher vibrational consciousness will feel it in the atmosphere. You'll feel your heart expanding. You'll feel that sense of fun and joviality. You'll also feel that magnetic pull of attraction. You won't know why, and you'll be trying to understand why you are drawn to certain individuals. And we say it is the energy, the attractor factor energy. When you align with people, this is how it affects you. And we want to tell you that not everything is around romantic connections. Some of you may get the wrong end of the stick and assume, because you're magnetically drawn to a person, that there is some sort of love or romantic charge and connection between you and that individual. We say it's not always the case. Your soul tribe knows and recognizes each member of it, and it can present itself to you in this feeling of deep resonance and connection, which, as we say, can be mistook or mistaken for that of a romantic partnership. One of the things to look out for, so that you know it is not, definitely not, a romantic connection, is the fact that these individuals they're not your regular type. You're not physically attracted to them in any way, and yet here you are, you'll find yourself being pulled in that direction. So we want you to notice that and distinguish the difference. All of you that are listening to this transmission, we would like to commend you on the work that you are doing, because it's not spoken of openly and freely, which it should be. You should be congratulated on all the work that you do behind the scenes. This work is energetic in its nature. It's down to choices, alignment and vibration, and allowing your energy to broadcast itself out into the ether. That takes great confidence and responsibility, and a lot of you aren't given a pat on the back for that work that you do. Because, believe it or not, you are encouraging others, you are heightening vibrations, and you are changing the environments you happen to go to, be in, live in, or visit. So it's a great responsibility. We would like to end this conversation today by making a suggestion, and this suggestion is asking you to sit in the silence. Some call it meditation, sitting in the power, whatever the terminology you wish to choose. But in sitting in this energy, it will have a dramatic effect on yourself, your vibration. You'll connect in, you'll get your answers, you'll get the healing. You'll have some of those energetic blocks removed from your physical and energetic being. You will also be plugged into the direct mainframe, if you will allow us to use that terminology, where your power, your essence is adding to the collective consciousness in creating what we would only describe as your heaven upon earth. Although a lot of you listening to this will say, well, it certainly doesn't feel like that at the moment. And we say to you, at the moment, it is all the old energy, the old useless information that has been kept hidden from you for eons in time. And what you're all experiencing is that energy and information has no place to hide anymore. And so it is coming up to the surface to be revealed, some of it good information, some of it bad, some of it concerning. But this is a great indicator to let you know that you are experiencing a catalyst of change, and these situations won't last forever. It will move very quickly once it is noted and understood by the collective. Then change will occur on your planet beyond anything that you've comprehended before in your timeline. A lot of you will have to navigate your mind around the process of work and finances. Some of you will have to get your head around the concept of history and the fact that a lot of it is created to fulfill a narrative to enable to control and keep the general population small. So a lot of you are going to come across these stumbling blocks, and we advise you to hold faith, have patience, continue to sit in the power, and you will notice that things will begin to change on your planet. We thank you so much for listening and taking on the information we are sharing with you. And we leave you with our love and blessings. And we look forward to conversing with you at some point in the future. But for now, thank you.
What a fantastic transmission there from the world of spirit. Interesting to hear all of those things talking about the collective peace. And there's a desire from most of our souls for this desire for peace and harmony. And at the moment, it's a time to make conscious choices rather than just following the herd, and really connect with our higher self in order to establish our own truth so we can live, breathe, and emulate that all around us. Really enjoyed the fact that they're telling us to take responsibility for ourselves rather than making excuses and pointing the finger of blame on people, circumstances, and situations there. Interesting also to hear about power surges happening in our environment, our physical environment. And this will drain batteries, have an impact on electronic devices, and cause some form of pandemonium, albeit on a small level, to us at this moment in time. And so nice to know that, I suppose it's nice to know that it is an energetic frequency change in the environment, and it's knocking some of these items off, draining some of these batteries and causing issues in that respect there. Fascinating to hear about miscommunications are likely at this time. Again, this is down to the energy changing and people not aligning with vibration, people mishearing and misunderstanding various communications at this time, because we're all a little bit out of sorts until we adjust to this new vibration that is happening right here, right now. Also, now this did interest me actually when they was talking about feeling like we're in a play or a performance and the people around us feel like background actors. So almost as if we can't interact with them as such, and they're just there to fill out the set and the environment as we walk through this moment in our lives. I've certainly noticed a little bit of that over the recent few weeks there. So that was interesting that they brought that to the attention. And also the fact when they was talking about that a lot of us will be vibrating higher to such a degree when our vibration heightens on a physical level, we're not able to be visually recognized or seen by others that are vibrating at a different frequency. And this may also make us feel like we're unheard, we're unrecognized, and it's quite literally, it's not anything we're doing as such, it's not our personality or anything like that. It's our vibration is heightening, and other people aren't able to connect with us on that level at the moment for the time being. So very interesting communication there from Spirit. I really enjoyed the depths that they went to explain that to us all. So now we're going to move into a sneaky peek of this week's forecast reading. So sit back and enjoy. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 6th of October, 2025. Those of you that watched me before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot card. So what I'm about to do, shuffle the cards and allow a card to come out for this week's forecast reading. So here is your card for this week's reading. I'm now going to link into the vibration of that. First of all, I'm being given the phrase, don't run before you can walk. Yes, it's a new month, but you need to take each step at a time. This month, or should we say this week, will offer you a different perspective, doing something in a different manner, a different way than what you've always had to do, breaking the old habits. I also feel as though there's that stiff resolve that's going to be dissolved. And so you're open to suggestions, ideas, new ways of looking at things. I also sense within this month and this week, there's going to be a change with your vibration. And like we say, an acceptance. Your energy is going to change to such a degree that you're just going to be catapulted into new opportunities. This week, we'll see the start of that process occurring. And there will be a little bit of agitation once you get into this vibration, down to the fact that you'll be harking on about. This is the end of the free version of the weekly forecast reading. If you would like to see the entirety of this week's forecast reading, then you can do that by subscribing. And as a subscriber, what you will receive is the full version of the weekly forecast reading. You will also receive the audio for the weekly radio show, and also you'll receive 10% off all of my spiritual services there. So this includes all of the readings there for you to benefit from. And also you will receive new updates and information and news of what's happening with myself and the services that I provide, and also the events that I take part in. You'll hear all about that ahead of everybody else. And this is because you're a subscriber to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. So you can find a link either above or below this video, where by clicking on the link, you can then become a subscriber to reap all of the benefits that I've described to you. So I look forward to having you on this journey with me as a Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium subscriber. Thank you for taking time to watch this video and supporting the work that Spirit and myself work together in doing so. Interesting forecast reading for this week, albeit a little sneak peek into that. And as the advert suggests, if you're wanting to subscribe, then you can hear the full version of that each and every week. Well, thank you for tuning in to a very interesting deep dive conversation this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and I hope you can take something from it. And if anything, feel that urge and desire to go and explore and experience forest bathing for yourself. And when you do that, if you feel inclined to do so, it would be absolutely amazing to hear from you of your own encounters of forest bathing. Well, I want to extend the invitation to you all. If you have any questions about anything spiritual, paranormal, or self-help you would like me to explore with more depth in the show, then you can contact me by going over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com. You can also email me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. You can find me on all social media platforms, so you can contact me there. As ever, it would be fascinating to hear from you, and also to help you make sense of whatever queries or inquiries that you have. So anyway, I want to also thank you for listening, and just to talk about the channeling, the trance work that came through this week. I found that particularly interesting. As you know, I don't know what happens at the time when trance is coming through. So to hear that very precise information of what is happening around us all at this moment in time was absolutely fascinating. And it would make sense, actually, because I've had a few issues quite recently with batteries and electronic devices. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense from Spirit. So I hope that has helped you and is giving you some sort of clarity on what's happening at this moment in time. Very, very fascinating. So I'd like to wish you all a wonderful week ahead, whatever it is you're doing. I'd also like to extend the invitation for you to come and join me again at the same place every Monday, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, on all of my social media platforms. And as you know, all of my episodes are archived on my website for you to maybe catch up on and find something that aligns with you, because there's lots of episodes on there covering a vast array of subjects, and I'm sure there's something that will help your curious mind rest easy. So have a fabulous week, everybody. Look forward to your interactions next week. Sending all my love, healing and blessings. God bless, and bye for now. Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium.